More than ready. Hereby call the April 2nd, 2024 study session to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Beck.
Here.
Vice Mayor Edwards.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford.
Here.
Councilmember Finn.
Here.
Councilmember Patenna.
Here.
Councilmember Dunn.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. The only item on the agenda today is an update from the Peoria's Water Services Department on all conservation programs Peoria provides to its customers.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this study session will focus on one of Council's priorities, and that's water security. Peoria has been in the forefront of establishing water conservation practices for the past 30 years. We have Water Services Director David Burks, as well as Sustainability and Water Conservation Coordinator Victoria Castor, and Water Conservation Specialist Sawyer Treese. They're here to talk about our water conservation program. It's sometimes the less glamorous but equally important work of securing Peoria's water future. And these folks have led this effort on a daily basis, are making some remarkable progress, and they're here to share that with us this evening. So David, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Darwin. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to showcase our Sustainability and Water Conservation Division, which is housed within Water Services. Here with me are Victoria Castor, our Sustainability and Water Conservation Coordinator, and Sawyer Treese, our Water Conservation Specialist. This small but mighty team spearheads Peoria's sustainability and water conservation efforts. They work with the public and other city departments in coordinating, messaging, and implementing our programs. Through their efforts, the city is making strides in water conservation, which will be highlighted in this presentation. As you know, City Manager Darwin has implemented a monthly business review meeting with all city departments. As a result of these meetings, each department has chosen different goals to measure productivity and streamline specific operations. Currently, our Parks Department has a performance metric that tracks the department's overall landscape and turf water consumption with the overall goal of enhancing water conservation. Additionally, the department has a turf removal program focused on the removal of non-programmable turf. This program is funded by a $3.5 million grant from the Arizona Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, or as we call them, WIFA, as a WIFA Water Conservation Grant Fund. In addition, the Water Policy Committee is currently working on a large water user ordinance. This ordinance is being spearheaded by our Water Resources Manager, Mr. Brett Fleck. Our plan is to present this ordinance for your approval in the near future. Victoria and Sawyer have a lot of information to share, so I will turn it over to them at this time.
Excellent, thank you.
Got tongue twisted.
So, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We're excited to talk to you tonight about all things conservation. So to kind of kick us off, we're going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to talk about state requirements for conservation. Then we'll kind of do a deep dive into our actual programs that we offer our customers, and then we'll talk about next steps. So we are a small but mighty team of two. We do have one vacancy that we are currently working on, and we basically operate all the water conservation and the sustainability initiatives for the city. We are forward-facing, which means that we have a whole bunch of interaction with our customers, and we have 63,000 customers, so we have a big pool that we are working from. And we also coordinate with our other departments for conservation and sustainability, so we are working with a lot of different folks. So for the state requirements, the state does mandate that cities like Peoria have a robust water conservation program. So the state requires a city of Peoria size to operate, track, and report on at least 5 different best management practices, or BMPs. And in a year, that's going to jump up to 20 different BMPs. So as the state moves from the 4th management plan to the 5th, we get an increase of requirements. And it's not just an addition of 5 points or 5 BMPs. They are completely reorganizing how the best management practices work. And so we lose a few points here, and then we have a few more opportunities to gain points there. So in preparation for this, in the past 2 years, we have increased our program, almost doubled it. So we actually have 7 new programs that have been added in just the past 2 years. So this is a table that shows you the different best management practices that we currently are tracking and recording through the state. And the examples of what some of the things that we actually do check off those boxes for those different BMPs. There are 14 in the list, and that is because 2 of them are actually worth 2 points, so it does equal out to that 15 that's required by the state. And we're going to talk about our programs in detail, which will tie right into this. So we do a lot of outreach and education, as you can imagine. So we have an entire video library on the city's YouTube channel. We have a sustainability playlist, has over 30 different videos from short DIYs to full 30, 40-minute classes that we've recorded. And we also have a bunch of digital resources, links to websites where folks can find a lot of information. And we also offer educational booklets, which you all may be familiar with. These have been around the valley for a long time. So this one is our Watering by the Numbers. This is an amazing guide that we try and have at all of our classes and events because it's specific for watering in the Phoenix area. Oftentimes with landscaping, it's really tricky because what works in other states, it does not work here, right? We're very different. And so this is really a great guide for residents to really hone in on how to water here. We have our plants booklet. So this is over 200 low to moderate water use plants, all that are in the state's low water use plant list. And it gives amazing details. This booklet has been around for a long time. It has a brand new fancy website that people can get information, and the booklet itself is about to get a facelift. So the pink booklet, as it's known from our residents, is about to look a little bit different and have a refresh. And then lastly, we have the Sustaining Gain. So this is actually a Peoria resource. This is what we create and we print and we mail out to all of our customers every year. So this hits your mailbox, usually in January, and this has information all about water. We have some resources information in here. We have all about our conservation programs, sustainability tips, but also a bunch of solid waste and recycling information as well. So this is our Peoria one that goes out amongst some of our other more familiar educational materials. We have these available not only in our office, we mail them out on request, we have them at all of our libraries, and we have them in the kiosk to our Fusion Xeriscape demonstration garden, which is actually right out front of City Hall to the right. Our demonstration garden is a little bit different than some of the gardens in the valley because it has 6 different areas that are all xeriscape, but it's different ways you can have xeriscape. So instead of just a traditional Sonoran Desert look, which is what our center part of the garden is, it also shows you how you could have a tropical look still using xeriscape and low to moderate water use plants. We have a northern latitude sections that kind of shows how you can have a more higher elevation looking look to your landscape, but still using those xeriscape principles. And then we have a child-friendly area. So it's all about how you can have a proper spaced grass area, also cactus that aren't pokey, so the totem pole cactus doesn't have any spines, and some of those kind of kid and dog safe plants. And so our garden is small but mighty in the fact that we offer a kind of a different viewpoint of xeriscape to our residents. And we do education and outreach in the garden and classes and tours. And then lastly on the slide, public education and marketing. So as you can imagine, half of our game is trying to get the word out there to the public. We work closely with the Office of Communications. We have lots of social media posts. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly, and we have in the bill insert. So we work with the communications office to get it out to as many different areas as we can. We also have mailers. So this last summer, hopefully you guys maybe caught this in your mailbox, but we sent out the Summarize Your Home. So that was a card or basically a card that went out to all of our residents, and on the back side of it had a bunch of fantastic tips for summer and as well as links to other resources. And then we were able to send a secondary one out to Peoria residents that have a pool that talked about some of the summer efficiency items that folks can do with pools. So we are out there trying to do as much outreach as we can. And then next, all of our youth education programs. So we love reaching out to our youth and trying to start early in building that culture of conservation. The Great American Puppet Theater has 2 amazing water-focused shows. So as you can imagine, you get to learn about water as a kid, but also in a puppet show. The puppets are interesting looking, so that's what you see there in the right corner. We have The Zoner and the Drip, which is a show that's all about the water cycle and the journey that a water drop takes. And then they have Hotel Saguaro, which is a really fun show that talks about desert plants and animals and how they're adapted, right, to our climate. Then we have Project Wet Festivals, which I believe you guys heard a little bit on at a recent council meeting. And so that is all of our Peoria fourth graders come. We have 2 festivals a year, and they get to rotate through 4 different stations and learn all about water and watersheds and groundwater. So it's a really fun day for our fourth graders. And that's in partnership with University of Arizona and our Peoria ISD as well. So definitely lots of partnerships. And then we offer a magic show, believe it or not. So another fun way to get water in the door in our school. So they have a magic show that a specific magician does, and it's water focused. So they get to learn about the different forms of water and the water cycle through that. And the Peoria Libraries. So we do partner with our libraries where we're able to offer programs and outreach opportunities. We actually have a program next week at both the Peoria Libraries to talk about desert plant adaptation. So working with the other departments as well with the kids. And now we're going to kick it off to Sawyer, who's going to talk about adult programs and commercial programs.
Is my mic on? Yeah. It's not green. Okay. All right. Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Thanks, Victoria, for the intro. So like Victoria presented, our programs are really centered around education and long-term change. That is what conservation is. And so you'll see that with our adult conservation programs as well, starting with the landscape consultation. So any Peoria water customer can request that conservation staff visit their house. We'll start at their landscape or at their meter, their water meter, and do a leak detection test. So that way they can tell whether or not water is running and where that water could be running to if it's not supposed to be. So there's the leak detection part of it. And then we'll walk the landscape with the resident and talk about best management practices for the plants, whether that be in their maintenance or their irrigation. And then sit down and go over a monthly water use budget based on their actual water use over the last year. So you'll see in the image in the top right a red, green, and a blue. The red is xeriscape, the green, with xeriscape being desert plants. Green is grass, and blue as a pool/spa. So we'll take those measurements, we'll put it into a calculation, compare it to weather, and then spit out a nice, easy-looking graph so residents can see pretty clearly whether or not they are watering to budget or if they're watering efficiently. And so the idea is to correct those inefficiencies and see, if not water savings, then better plant health and greater resiliency in the future. And also when we sit down, we can talk about our rebate program, so what might best suit their situation. For example, if they have a toilet inside that's 1.6 gallons per flush or greater, then they may be interested in our high efficiency toilet rebate. So if they install a WaterSense label, and that's the EPA program, so it's certified to be water efficient without losing the quality, they can install those toilets and get some money back. We also have the Smarts Irrigation Controller rebate, again, WaterSense certified, same label. Standalone controllers adjust to the weather. So if their budget that we created for them does not match that bell curve, it doesn't follow the weather, then maybe it'd be easier for them to have access on their phone to the app to connect to that weather and see those curves that our plants need. Next, if they have grass that they are no longer using, they are tired of mowing, they are tired of irrigating, you may convert those areas to desert plants. And at the same time, we offer a tree planting rebate to help meet those canopy requirements. So those rebates are kind of complementary to one another, or you can do the trees by themselves. With 9 select small, low water use desert trees, helped selected by our Parks Department, at least 2 of which are in our garden, those being the Cascalodi and the Desert Willow. Next, we have Sustainable fifth, upcoming, this is why I forgot, upcoming this next fiscal year, we are going to have a pool removal rebate. So as long as residents go through the proper processes in the engineering department for their permits, they can come to us after the project is successfully completed and get some money back. So that's the idea there. Next are our Sustainable U education series. These are free adult education classes we provide to all the residents, hosted at Rio Vista. We have a fall and a spring semester with a range of topics from fixing your irrigation system to scheduling your controller to different types of desert plants. You name it, we take the feedback from those classes to create the content and get the right experts in there to speak on all of these conservation-related topics. Next, water misuse reports. So we provide the ability for residents to report to us water misuse. So in the picture, you see the grass there, the sprinklers are irrigating the street. And so we don't want that. It's against code, but we take an educational approach. We will provide the resources, the tools, the information to whomever might be misusing the water so that they can correct it. And oftentimes they're not even aware. So it's a really great learning opportunity, and that's conservation, is the learning opportunity. Lastly, on this page at least, are the water conservation kits. So we have a great relationship with our libraries where residents request a voucher from us, to which they take to the library and receive a water kit with the different water-saving devices shown in that image, as well as education materials and other goodies. All right, the other side of this. So that was all residential. This is non-residential, and they are still Peoria residents. They are just not your single-family residential. They are your HOAs, they are your schools, they are your businesses. So we've worked with at least 50-plus properties in some form of water conservation programs, because all sites are unique. All sites have a different path of what they need to move forward, what's best for them. So again, we offer a landscape consultation, so we'll get the HOA board, the community managers, the landscapers, really whoever we can out there, so that we're all talking about the same thing. We'll walk the landscape, go to the meters. Sometimes they don't even know they have landscape meters, and several of them, and that in a starting point in itself gets them talking, starting to discuss these projects. And again, we'll sit down, go over water use, and we'll create a budget. No matter the size of this community, there are some large communities, we'll create a budget for them and give an idea of where they stand currently, where they could do better, and how we can help to make them do better. And one of those programs we offer is a monthly water budget online that the HOA board, the landscaper, the property manager can all access, so everyone's talking the same language. There are no miscommunications, which is a huge challenge in conservation throughout the valley. So it gets everyone on the same page. Next, smart irrigation controller rebate, similar to the residential. If that curve is off, we provide a non-residential tailored version of it. And then lastly, as Victoria mentioned, or Dave, we prioritize non-functional grass conversion. So these are your high slopes, your small strips, the areas that are not being actively used. We recommend and guide those non-residential properties towards those conversions and provide an incentive to do so, and not to xeriscape, which would be just rock, but to xeriscape, which in this site plan you can see a small strip of grass not actively used, 1 tree, 4 shrubs, and then that product. So that's the idea with those programs. And after all that, here's a quick snapshot of our FY23 numbers. So we had more than 500 rebates credited to water accounts at about $80,000, with over 650,000 marketing interactions. So that's through print, social, and by social, it's a comment, it's a share, it's a like, stuff like that. Direct newsletters and booklets, like those booklets, spelled wrong, like those that you saw. And then youth education-wise, Victoria discussed our youth programs. We have directly had 3,400 participants in that, whether Project WET or whatever. And then for adult education outreach programs, I discussed just over 1,000. So we are definitely out there in the community. And then water saving wise, just so you know, we are hitting our marks. On average, for the toilet rebate, we have about 11 to 13% reduction in water use. The smart controller, it's 5 to 8%. Xeriscape is 26 to 28%. Water kit's about 11%, and for the console, it's 15 to 17%. So we're doing our programs, and we also analyzing, always trying to make them better.
So now that we've touched on our outward-facing programs with our residents, we'll talk a little bit about the work that's done kind of behind the scenes within our own municipality. Back in 2021, Peoria participated in the Growing Water Smart program, which is offered by the Sonoran Institute, and it was a really awesome opportunity to bring in our economic development, our engineering, our planning, our parks and water. And we went through this workshop and we talked about better ways as we as a city can begin to connect land use and growth to water resources. And so that kind of helped open the doors and open the conversation. Later on, we were working with planning and development on updated design standards and codes for water efficiency items. And you, council, were able to approve those recommendations last year. And what's fantastic about that is, so that step that we made in that efficiency, increasing our efficiency, Cody from planning, who spearheaded this, has been asked to talk at several workshops and regional meetings about those steps that Peoria was able to take. So we kind of got to take the lead with some of the other cities in Valley in making those incremental steps towards efficiency. But we're always looking for new opportunities because it is always easier to build in efficiency rather than retrofit for efficiency later. So when we can bring in efficiency and raise the standards early on while things are being built, that is so much easier and cost-effective than trying to retrofit things later. So with that being said, we are also looking at and kind of bouncing the ideas back and forth for WaterSense certified new homes in Peoria. So that's something that us and several other departments are talking about right now as well. We also meet regularly with our Parks Department. So we have quarterly meetings where Parks and Conservation and Water Resources get together. And we just talk about what's going on in conservation in their world, in our world, and it's a really good opportunity for Water Resources to give Parks an update on where the water resources world is kind of going and any new updates for that. And then we also work closely with our green team. So we have a green team that is comprised of 9 different departments and over 20 different members where they are the experts within their fields, and we in our division just kind of help coordinate and share that message and round it all together. And the team and us were able to complete the Sustainable Peoria dashboard. So basically the sustainability plan, we have all those metrics and all that data that's in the tables has been turned into a beautiful interactive website. So that we turned a PDF that gets a little bit boring into a really fun website. And so that is the link for that right there. So that's the most recent kind of interdepartmental offering that we have that's really fun. So in conclusion, things that we are going to be working on in the next few years. And that is a continued commitment to our culture of conservation. Arizona is a melting pot of people from all over the place. And as they come here, there's sometimes a struggle in learning how to thrive in our desert climate rather than just constantly, beat your head against the wall of fighting against it. So we also always have this learning curve, and we're trying to educate residents on how they can work with our climate rather than against. We're also going to continue to track and monitor programs for ADWR, for compliance. As mentioned earlier, this gets more intense as we go into the 5th Management Plan in 2026. We're also continuing to work with our regional partners like Water Use It Wisely. So that is a very well-known brand and campaign that goes throughout the state. And so we're going to try and work a little bit more with them to get that broader message of conservation out in Peoria and through the state, because there are things that you can do collectively as many cities that us as a city alone can't really do when it comes to messaging and marketing. So we're taking those opportunities where we can. And then lastly, we're going to prepare for an increase in program demand as the Colorado River reductions increase. So we know that there's going to be less water coming down that river eventually, and when that day comes, our programs are going to have to elevate as we're going to have a higher demand for that need. And with that being said, we'll take any questions.
Councilor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Good presentation. So I have a couple of questions for you. So in one of your first slides, you talked about that if a resident asks about rebates and everything else, that they could reach out. Why are we waiting for the resident to ask? Why aren't we sending something out? Because I've been talking about this for a couple of years and asking for this, where as a new resident of Peoria, if a new resident moves into an existing home, shouldn't a pamphlet or something be sent out to them saying that, check your toilets, check your irrigation system, because if you're moving into a 20-year-old house, obviously that technology needs to be updated. Why aren't we being proactive and sending out some kind of a notification when they turn on their water for the first time saying, here are the programs? Because you may get people that never call.
No, that's a great idea. That is a trigger and a mechanism that we currently don't have the knowledge or the ability to pull that report from to be able to do that. But I can work with our finance and our billing department to see if they have a trigger when a new account gets turned on that can set something up to where we can gather that information and then.
Creating a water bill, it triggers a new account, right?
Yeah, there's gotta be, something that they can print a report for us. Exactly.
I've been asking for 3 years, and so far it's never happened. I think we need to be proactive in getting this to happen. So that'd be my first thing. And then the second thing is one of the pamphlets you passed around that had the landscaping guideline, it had a little tiny sticker in it.
Yeah, the yellow card in
Yeah,
there.
the yellow, the watering times and everything else. I actually took this off the website and printed up magnets.
Yes, I have some,
And
yeah.
so I think we should be passing those out at city events because it's low cost. You put it right on the refrigerator, everybody sees it. I think it's another way of just, awareness, front and center every time you open the refrigerator. Oh man, is it time to change my water on my plants?
Exactly, great. We do have those, and we do bring them to
Okay.
our community events as well, and they are popular, so yes.
And then lastly, on your Peoria non-residential program, I don't need it here, but can you send us the updated information? Because I sit on an HOA, and we've been trying for 4 years now to xeriscape a lot of our turf. And it just seems like the hurdles are astronomical from a city perspective in order to get any kind of rebates, in order to take some of that turf and put it into, rocks or drought-tolerant plants. I just think there needs to be more education out there. And again, our HOA, it's been a couple years, and we're just not getting anywhere.
So the beauty of our new commercial program for grass removal is that we partnered with planning in this, and we have fostered a path forward that is less hurdle intensive than it would be otherwise. We basically handhold the HOAs through the application and through the program. So I know Sawyer, as I said, he's working with over 50 right now. We've had probably about 6 or 7 that have crossed the finish line.
Yeah,
with
I'd be
rebates so
happy to
far.
talk with whomever directly.
Okay, I'll reach out to you.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Mayor.
No worries. Councilmember Patena.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. The one thing I didn't see in any of this was the use of artificial turf. So is artificial turf, does it play any role at all in your water conservation program?
We do not accept artificial turf as part of the grass to xeriscape conversion, and that is due to a host of issues. There's the heat issue, so if it's not in a shaded area, it gets hotter than asphalt. It's also more of a hardscape than it is a natural landscape, the way that they engineer the ground. There are stormwater concerns as well as PFAS. States are actually now beginning to ban it, so cities in California, where this got really popular and spread, are now actually banning it because of the PFAS issue. And there are some air quality concerns when they off-gas those chemicals. So with our rebate program, we like to focus on grass to a native or more natural landscape, because plants and natural landscapes offer many benefits between stormwater, you get fresher air from it, we have our native wildlife that benefit from actually having plants, and there's the aesthetics there as well when you have some living plants. So for that reason, we do not accept artificial turf as something that we rebate. Now, if you did a really big yard and you did a small section of artificial, but the rest is xeriscape, we will count the xeriscaped part of that conversion, but we will not rebate the artificial turf.
Councilmember Dunn.
So I had a meeting with staff today, and I was reminded, excuse me, reminded by staff that we were talking about another issue, but that how important some things are to have bilingual, because in my district in particularly, and the district right beside it, the Acacia district, there are a lot of Spanish-speaking individuals in the households. And so is there anywhere that this information is in a form that is accessible to them?
Yes, so I'm trying to think, so we have the Smart Home Water Guide, we do have, so one of our other main publications that we give out, that does have a Spanish version. And the websites now have, so the websites for these publications have an option where you can change the language on there. When it comes to print material, we don't have a ton that is bilingual at this time.
Is there any way we could maybe take a look at maybe picking and choosing some important items? And because I know we do, another one of the staff members mentioned today that it would probably be helpful to do pop-ups in those areas. So something that we can give that to them that's readily available?
Certainly,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. With no other questions? No? We're all good? Okay. We will adjourn with no further business and declare the study session adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
and City Council.
Mayor Jason Beck was elected to a 4-year term in November 2022 and was sworn into office in January 2023. Mayor Beck is a Marine Corps veteran and is the founder and CEO of Tier Tactical, a Peoria-based business that provides body armor and tactical gear to military and first responders worldwide. His focus is on growing economic development citywide, strengthening public safety, and securing Peoria's water future and infrastructure. He is a husband and father to 6 boys.
Councilmember Bill Patena was first elected to the City Council to represent the Ironwood District in 2012 and was re-elected in 2016 and 2020. Councilmember Patena spent the last 18 years of his professional career with the City of Peoria as the Neighborhood Services Manager. In his ongoing service to the city, he maintains a strong interest in building and maintaining healthy neighborhoods and serves as the council liaison to the Veterans Memorial Board. The Patena family has lived in Arizona for over 30 years, with more than 20 of those in Peoria.
Mesquite District Councilmember Brad Schaefer was appointed to the City Council in April 2022 and was elected to the seat by the voters in November that same year. He previously served on the Peoria Planning and Zoning Commission and was the chair for both of the city's Bond Advisory and Charter Review Committees. Schaefer is also a U.S. Air Force veteran. He has earned his Master's of Business Administration, a bachelor's degree in Healthcare Administration, and has over 25 years of experience in the healthcare industry. He and his family enjoy spending time at Lake Pleasant or hiking the beautiful trails of Peoria.
Jennifer Crawford was elected in November 2022 to serve the Acacia District. She was also appointed to serve a 1-year term as Mayor Pro Tempore in January 2024. She has more than 30 years of business and marketing experience in the private sector. With an emphasis in sales and management, she has operated small businesses, a nonprofit organization, and is currently self-employed as a consultant. With Old Town Peoria within her district, she is passionate about the revitalization of downtown. Her family has lived in Peoria since 2004, with her children attending Zuni Hills Elementary School and graduating from Liberty and Sunrise Mountain High Schools.
Palo Verde Councilmember Michael Finn was elected to City Council in 2014 and re-elected in 2018 and 2022. As a former Chief Financial Officer for the Peoria Unified School District, Finn was responsible for making sound fiscal policies that contributed to the district's success. He also brings over 20 years of additional leadership experience from his time with United Parcel Service and U.S. Airways. His family has lived in Peoria for more than 2 decades and enjoys engaging with the community.
Danette Dunn, who has lived in the Pine District since 2005, was elected by the voters during a special election held in August 2019 to serve on City Council. She was re-elected for a second 4-year term in January 2023 and previously served as vice mayor. Dunn is focused on transportation management and economic development growth for our city. She is the founder of an environmental consulting agency which connects businesses with environmental stewardship, awareness, and social responsibility. She also served in government relations for Republic Services.
Willow District Councilmember John Edwards was first elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2016 and 2020. He is currently serving a term as vice mayor and previously served as Mayor Pro Tempore in 2023. He has served as a program and project manager for a computer services company for nearly 30 years. Edwards serves on a number of boards and committees, including the Maricopa Association of Governments Transportation Policy Committee, the Valley Metro Board of Directors, and the National League of Cities Community and Economic Development Committee. In previous years, he was involved with organizations including Westmark and Homeless Youth Connection. His family has lived in Peoria since 2001, and he believes in open communication and engaging with residents to keep them involved in important city decisions. The City Council meeting will begin shortly. Thank you for watching.
Meet your Peoria Mayor and City Council.
Mayor Jason Beck was elected to a 4-year term in November 2022 and was sworn into office in January 2023. Mayor Beck is a Marine Corps veteran and is the founder and CEO of Tier Tactical, a Peoria-based business that provides body armor and tactical gear to military and first responders worldwide. His focus is on growing economic development citywide, strengthening public safety, and securing Peoria's water future and infrastructure. He is a husband and father to 6 boys.
Councilmember Bill Patena was first elected to the City Council to represent the Ironwood District in 2012 and was re-elected in 2016 and 2020. Councilmember Patena spent the last 18 years of his professional career with the City of Peoria as the Neighborhood Services Manager. In his ongoing service to the city, he maintains a strong interest in building and maintaining healthy neighborhoods and serves as the council liaison to the Veterans Memorial Board. The Patena family has lived in Arizona for over 30 years, with more than 20 of those in Peoria.
Mesquite District Councilmember Brad Schaefer was appointed to the City Council in April 2022 and was elected to the seat by the voters in November that same year. He previously served on the Peoria Planning and Zoning Commission and was the chair for both of the city's bond advisory and charter review committees. Schaefer is also a U.S. Air Force veteran. He has earned his Master's of Business Administration, a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration, and has over 25 years of experience in the healthcare industry. He and his family enjoy spending time at Lake Pleasant or hiking the beautiful trails of Peoria.
Jennifer Crawford was elected in November 2022 to serve the Acacia District. She was also appointed to serve a one-year term as Mayor Pro Tempore in January 2024. She has more than 30 years of business and marketing experience in the private sector. With an emphasis in sales and management, she has operated small businesses, a nonprofit organization, and is currently self-employed as a consultant. With Old Town Peoria within her district, she is passionate about the revitalization of downtown. Her family has lived in Peoria since 2004, with her children attending Zuni Hills Elementary School and graduating from Liberty and Sunrise Mountain High Schools.
Palo Verde Councilmember Michael Finn was elected to City Council in 2014 and re-elected in 2018 and 2022. As a former chief financial officer for the Peoria Unified School District, Finn was responsible for making sound fiscal policies that contributed to the district's success. He also brings over 20 years of additional leadership experience from his time with United Parcel Service and U.S. Airways. His family has lived in Peoria for more than 2 decades and enjoys engaging with the community.
Danette Dunn, who has lived in the Pine District since 2005, was elected by the voters during a special election held in August 2019 to serve on City Council. She was re-elected for a second 4-year term in January 2023 and previously served as vice mayor. Dunn is focused on transportation management and economic development growth for our city. She is the founder of an environmental consulting agency which connects businesses with environmental stewardship, awareness, and social responsibility. She also served in government relations for Republic Services.
Willow District Councilmember John Edwards was first elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2016 and 2020. He is currently serving a term as vice mayor and previously served as mayor pro tempore in 2023. He has served as a program and project manager for a computer services company for nearly 30 years. Edwards serves on a number of boards and committees, including the Maricopa Association of Governments Transportation Policy Committee, the Valley Metro Board of Directors, and the National League of Cities Community and Economic Development Committee. In previous years, he was involved with organizations including Westmark and Homeless Youth Connection. His family has lived in Peoria since 2001, and he believes in open communication and engaging with residents to keep them involved in important city decisions. The City Council meeting will begin shortly. Thank you for watching.
Meet your Peoria Mayor and City Council.
Mayor Jason Beck was elected to a 4-year term in November 2022 and was sworn into office in January 2023. Mayor Beck is a Marine Corps veteran and is the founder and CEO of Tier Tactical, a Peoria-based business that provides body armor and tactical gear to military and first responders worldwide. His focus is on growing economic development citywide, strengthening public safety, and securing Peoria's water future and infrastructure. He is a husband and father to 6 boys.
Councilmember Bill Patena was first elected to the City Council to represent the Ironwood District in 2012 and was re-elected in 2016 and 2020. Councilmember Patena spent the last 18 years of his professional career with the City of Peoria as the Neighborhood Services Manager. In his ongoing service to the city, he maintains a strong interest in building and maintaining healthy neighborhoods and serves as the council liaison to the Veterans Memorial Board. The Patena family has lived in Arizona for over 30 years, with more than 20 of those in Peoria.
Mesquite District Councilmember Brad Schaefer was appointed to the City Council in April 2022 and was elected to the seat by the voters in November that same year. He previously served on the Peoria Planning and Zoning Commission and was the chair for both of the city's Bond Advisory and Charter Review Committees. Schaefer is also a U.S. Air Force veteran. He has earned his Master's of Business Administration, a bachelor's degree in Healthcare Administration, and has over 25 years of experience in the healthcare industry. He and his family enjoy spending time at Lake Pleasant or hiking the beautiful trails of Peoria.
Jennifer Crawford was elected in November 2022 to serve the Acacia District. She was also appointed to serve a 1-year term as Mayor Pro Tempore in January 2024. She has more than 30 years of business and marketing experience in the private sector. With an emphasis in sales and management, she has operated small businesses, a nonprofit organization, and is currently self-employed as a consultant. With Old Town Peoria within her district, she is passionate about the revitalization of downtown. Her family has lived in Peoria since 2004, with her children attending Zuni Hills Elementary School and graduating from Liberty and Sunrise Mountain High Schools.
Palo Verde Councilmember Michael Finn was elected to City Council in 2014 and re-elected in 2018 and 2022. As a former Chief Financial Officer for the Peoria Unified School District, Finn was responsible for making sound fiscal policies that contributed to the district's success. He also brings over 20 years of additional leadership experience from his time with United Parcel Service and U.S. Airways. His family has lived in Peoria for more than 2 decades and enjoys engaging with the community.
Danette Dunn, who has lived in the Pine District since 2005, was elected by the voters during a special election held in August 2019 to serve on City Council. She was re-elected for a second 4-year term in January 2023 and previously served as Vice Mayor. Dunn is focused on transportation management and economic development growth for our city. She is the founder of an environmental consulting agency which connects businesses with environmental stewardship, awareness, and social responsibility. She also served in government relations for Republic Services.
Willow District Councilmember John Edwards was first elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2016 and 2020. He is currently serving a term as Vice Mayor and previously served as Mayor Pro Tempore in 2023. He has served as a program and project manager for a computer services company for nearly 30 years. Edwards serves on a number of boards and committees, including the Maricopa Association of Governments Transportation Policy Committee, the Valley Metro Board of Directors, and the National League of Cities Community and Economic Development Committee. In previous years, he was involved with organizations including Westmark and Homeless Youth Connection. His family has lived in Peoria since 2001, and he believes in open communication and engaging with residents to keep them involved in important city decisions. The City Council meeting will begin shortly. Thank you for watching.
Meet your Peoria Mayor and City Council.
Mayor Jason Beck was elected to a 4-year term in November 2022 and was sworn into office in January 2023. Mayor Beck is a Marine Corps veteran and is the founder and CEO of Tier Tactical, a Peoria-based business that provides body armor and tactical gear to military and first responders worldwide. His focus is on growing economic development citywide, strengthening public safety, and securing Peoria's water future and infrastructure. He is a husband and father to 6 boys.
Councilmember Bill Patena was first elected to the City Council to represent the Ironwood District in 2012 and was re-elected in 2016 and 2020. Councilmember Patena spent the last 18 years of his professional career with the City of Peoria as the Neighborhood Services Manager. In his ongoing service to the city, he maintains a strong interest in building and maintaining healthy neighborhoods and serves as the council liaison to the Veterans Memorial Board. The Patena family has lived in Arizona for over 30 years, with more than 20 of those in Peoria.
Mesquite District Councilmember Brad Schaefer was appointed to the City Council in April 2022 and was elected to the seat by the voters in November that same year. He previously served on the Peoria Planning and Zoning Commission and was the chair for both of the city's Bond Advisory and Charter Review Committees. Schaefer is also a U.S. Air Force veteran. He has earned his Master's of Business Administration, a bachelor's degree in Healthcare Administration, and has over 25 years of experience in the healthcare industry. He and his family enjoy spending time at Lake Pleasant or hiking the beautiful trails of Peoria.
Jennifer Crawford was elected in November 2022 to serve the Acacia District. She was also appointed to serve a one-year term as Mayor Pro Tempore in January 2024. She has more than 30 years of business and marketing experience in the private sector. With an emphasis in sales and management, she has operated small businesses, a nonprofit organization, and is currently self-employed as a consultant. With Old Town Peoria within her district, she is passionate about the revitalization of downtown. Her family has lived in Peoria since 2004, with her children attending Zuni Hills Elementary School and graduating from Liberty and Sunrise Mountain High Schools.
Palo Verde Councilmember Michael Finn was elected to City Council in 2014 and re-elected in 2018 and 2022. As a former Chief Financial Officer for the Peoria Unified School District, Finn was responsible for making sound fiscal policies that contributed to the district's success. He also brings over 20 years of additional leadership experience from his time with United Parcel Service and U.S. Airways. His family has lived in Peoria for more than 2 decades and enjoys engaging with the community.
Danette Dunn, who has lived in the Pine District since 2005, was elected by the voters during a special election held in August 2019 to serve on City Council. She was re-elected for a second 4-year term in January 2023 and previously served as vice mayor. Dunn is focused on transportation management and economic development growth for our city. She is the founder of an environmental consulting agency which connects businesses with environmental stewardship, awareness, and social responsibility. She also served in government relations for Republic Services.
Willow District Councilmember John Edwards was first elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2016 and 2020. He is currently serving a term as vice mayor and previously served as mayor pro tempore in 2023. He has served as a program and project manager for a computer services company for nearly 30 years. Edwards serves on a number of boards and committees, including the Maricopa Association of Governments Transportation Policy Committee, the Valley Metro Board of Directors, and the National League of Cities Community and Economic Development Committee. In previous years, he was involved with organizations including Westmark and Homeless Youth Connection. His family has lived in Peoria since 2001, and he believes in open communication and engaging with residents to keep them involved in important city decisions. The City Council meeting will begin shortly. Thank you for watching.
and City Council welcome you to the Peoria City Council meeting. As a courtesy to others, please silence all phones. If you would like to address an issue that is on the agenda, or if you would like to speak to the council regarding a non-agenda item, please complete a speaker request form, which can be found in the front lobby of the Peoria City Council chambers or in the tray to the left of the speaker's podium. Please place the completed speaker request form in the second tray to the left of the speaker's podium labeled Request to Speak. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown clock is easily visible on the left side of the wall behind the City Council dais. Only items listed on the agenda may be addressed by the council. Since items presented as part of a speaker's request have not been listed on the agenda, and due to the requirements of open meeting laws, the council will be unable to respond to items presented as part of the speaker's request. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time in the order that the forms were received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Peoria City Council meeting.
Good evening and welcome to Peoria City Council meeting. I hereby call this meeting on April 2nd, 2024 to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Beck,
Here.
Vice Mayor Edwards,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Here.
Councilmember Finn,
Here.
Councilmember Patenna,
Here.
Councilmember Dunn,
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer,
Present.
Councilor Youth Liaison Shrivastava,
Present.
Councilor Youth Liaison Westheim.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Those who are able, please stand for the invocation by Pastor David Davenport of Worship and Word Church, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. My name is Dave Davenport. I am an associate pastor at Worship and Word. My senior pastor sends his apologies. So if it's all well with you tonight, I am standing in his stead. It is an honor, Mayor Beck, to be here with all of you wonderful folks. Paul instructed Timothy to pray for those in governmental leadership. We are a blessed nation because we are founded on biblical principles. Some nations were settled in search of gold, but ours was in search of God. Jesus, Lord, I thank you for our elected officials. Lord, touch their hearts and their minds as they make and pass policy that affects our lives. Lord, I pray for our first responders, for your protection for themselves as well as their families. Keep them and let them feel your protective presence around them. Lord, I pray for our schools, principals, teachers, staff, as well as students. As a grandparent, Lord, let the power of your love work in our schools. Lord, I pray for our businesses to be blessed and to honor you, Lord, in honest practices. Our sustained prosperity, every window and every door, Lord, represents families that have needs. And we know that you, God, are the supplier of all our needs. I pray, Lord, for our church communities. Let your Holy Spirit lead us and guide us in every one of our churches in Peoria. Jesus, let your righteousness be imparted to us all. In your great name, in your matchless name we pray. In Jesus' name. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. If anyone would like to address the council about a matter, please submit a speaker request form, which can be found at the entrance of the room to the clerk at this time. At this time, we will now administer the oath of office for Peoria's incoming municipal judge, Judge John Tatz. please. So most recently, Judge Tatch has served as the presiding judge at the City of Mesa since 2020, where he was successfully overseeing a very high-volume court. As many also know, Judge Tatz is a long-term Peoria resident, which even makes this even more special, I think. Right? As a city, we are very fortunate and excited to have him as coming on board. So I'm going to try to get this. This is the first time I've done this, so this is not the first time you've done this. So at this time, I would invite Judge Tatch and his family. Anybody else want to come up front? No? They're like, we're good. We're going to be shy. All right. Judge Tatch, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, John Tatz, do solemnly swear.
I, John Tatz, do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution and laws of the State of Arizona.
And the Constitution and laws of the State of Arizona.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that I will faithfully and impartially.
And that I will faithfully and impartially.
Discharge the duties of the presiding judge.
Discharge the duties of the presiding judge.
Of the City of Peoria, Arizona.
Of the City of Peoria, Arizona.
According to the best to the best of my ability, so help me God.
According to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the things that I wanted to point out before we move on is, I try to say this every single time, and I said this to Judge Tatz's wife just now, and I'd say this to every employee or council member when we come on board and things like that. We really do appreciate you lending us your husband. It is a family affair. A lot of us have seen how it works on other sides. City employees have the exact same thing. You know, a lot of times employees or people that work for the city, whether it's council members or actual city staff, we spend more time with the people we work with on a daily basis than we do, unfortunately, with our families sometimes. And sometimes our families only get the negative side of things. They only hear certain things. I pray that you were able to share in the positive things that your husband's going to do here for the city as well. So, thank you. Yeah. Consent agenda. We will now move to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion unless a request for removal has been prior approved. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Please vote. And it passes 6-1. The regular agenda. We will now move on the regular agenda and introduce new business. I now recognize City Manager Henry Darwin to introduce 12R.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, you have before you two items on the regular agenda, items 12R and 13R. Although these are two separate items requiring two separate votes, you're going to receive a presentation on both items, and we will make sure to remind you at the end that these are, in fact, several votes. As a revitalized and vibrant downtown is in alignment with the council priority related to economic development. Over the last several years, the city has made intentional investments and improvements and progress in the downtown corridor. Community input has helped us to shape a strategy for redevelopment and improvement in the livability of this area. For the next two agenda items, Assistant City Manager Rick Buss, Deputy City Manager Mike Faust, Deputy City Manager Kevin Burke, and Planning Director Chris Jaquez will present these development opportunities as the next steps in building a thriving downtown Peoria. Take it away, guys.
Mayor, members of council. Well, appreciate your time tonight. This one, I think, is going to hopefully be a night of celebration for a lot of long trend of and journey of work and effort by multiple people. But as City Manager Darwin said, we have one presentation to cover 2 agenda items, so you'd be voting on both agenda items separately. Mayor, Council, as you're well aware, this council as a whole has directed management to focus on the priorities of public safety, economic development, water security, and innovative government. The Downtown Revitalization Initiative is primarily an economic development project intended to bring jobs, businesses, events, vibrancy, and beautification to Peoria's historic downtown. It is also a key component of your One Peoria strategy. I have a good friend of mine that says every once in a while it's important to look back to see how far you've come. Tonight's presentation is intended to do just that, while at the same time looking to the future and celebrating our success. Tonight is the next step, and by no means the final step, in revitalizing Peoria's historic downtown. I know Councilmember Finn, we were talking earlier about the importance of a journey and trending in the right direction. Some of your studies, that's where we are. I feel very confident that we are trending in the right direction and moving very quickly. So the next one is we put the acknowledgements early in this presentation on purpose. It takes a lot of people to make this happen. And without the support and work of those listed here, really nothing happens. So I'd like to start by thanking the council as a whole. This council has committed resources to the revitalization of downtown and empowered management to deploy this strategy. This commitment has enabled management to move forward with significant, substantial progress after 32 years of when this was first discussed. This has made all the difference, council, and I'd like to thank you personally. Mayor, downtown revitalization has been your vision for quite some time. A rumor has it you've taken some council members on a few field trips in this effort. And Councilmember Crawford, you have been at every working group meeting. You've held a webinar. You've brought in potential prospects. You've been involved deeply in every step of the way. So speaking on behalf of staff, I want to thank you for your efforts, your leadership, and working closely with staff. It's much appreciated. And the gentleman to my right, our planning director, Chris Hawkes, who I've been in this business for 18 years. He is the best planning director I've ever worked with. You'll see in a few moments the incredible amount of work that he has done over the years to this point. And thank you, Chris, for not only everything he has done, but he continues to do. And in our working group, I know some of our working group is here today, but this working group is different than your traditional boards and commission. It is truly a working group. It is a roll-up-your-sleeves working group designed to communicate the progress of downtown revitalization initiative, but also to solicit input from ideas from the citizens that we serve, and to bring forward innovative solutions. The working group members, it's a small group, so you see just 8, that were selected based on a blend of institutional knowledge, business background and acumen, and a sense of urgency to progress quickly and with an innovative mindset. So we meet in the evenings on a regular basis, and many times, I wrote here many times our working group is sent home with homework. I think it's every time they're sent home with homework, and they come back. Some of our folks take that very, very seriously and send us very, very long reports. You know who you are. So thank you, it's really great. But our working group members go out in the community, speak with their fellow citizens, they research new and innovative ideas, and then they bring them back to the group. So with that said, Chris, Manuel, Remigio, Liz, Lance, Ed, Eva, Mike, if you're here, please stand. Thank you so much. No, there's our working group, so thank you so much. And with that, briefly, I'll turn it over to Chris.
But before we do that, I just want to acknowledge that for some reason Kevin Burke's name wasn't put on the acknowledgements list. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that Kevin played a huge role and continues to play a huge role. And you guys don't forget, he's the money guy. So make sure you include him in the acknowledgements going forward. It's probably in your best interest.
Yeah, all of it, right? All right, take it away, Chris.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Buss. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're very excited about the opportunities before us. I think we're confident that we're moving towards an inflection point in downtown Peoria, and that I think we're moving towards a more resurgent era. Downtown revitalization, as you all know, is tough. It's a long journey, and it's certainly been a long journey here. But I think as we move through the presentation and moving up to the action items, we want to step back and reflect on all of the efforts that have taken shape over the years, the foundational efforts, the early public investments, all those efforts that have really set the foundation and position this area for the next step that we're seeing. All right, just a real quick story here. We all know the story about Peoria. It was settled in late 1880s by homesteaders from Peoria, Illinois. This farming community expanded with the advent of the Grand Avenue in 1887 and the rail spur line of 1895. So as you know, this community was concentrated around what became Washington and 83rd, which today, of course, we know as Old Town or Downtown Peoria. And for many years, it was a fairly small and thriving farming community. In fact, as late as 1970, if you look at the census, we were only a city of 12,000. So, a pretty small area at that time. But like many downtowns across the country, it was a familiar story. This downtown and many downtowns across the country went into a period of decline. So many of our traditional downtowns, they experienced decentralization. That was brought along by the mass marketing of the automobile, the expansion of the interstate highway system, federal housing policies, and also the consumer economy that brought people into outlying areas. And so the expansion of the Phoenix metropolitan area caught up with Peoria in around 1970. In fact, between 1970 and 2000, we added 100,000 people to our population. So we saw some pretty rapid expansion during that time. This was also the time that we saw malls pop up, the Loop 101, the Bell Road commercial area. And so that tended to take a lot of the oxygen away from some of these traditional downtowns. And so we saw more and more decentralization. But there was also renewed interest in the late 1980s and the 1990s to bring attention and investment back to the heart of the city. At that time, City Hall was firmly entrenched near downtown. It was the nucleus of City Hall in this area. The graphic you're seeing tonight, that shows 3 pillars of revitalization. Now, this is informed by a shared vision, strong leadership, and a number of other inputs, but there are basically 3 pillars to revitalization. So you have to make sure that, first of all, the regulatory environment, you have to make sure that the policies and regulations that you have are in alignment with the vision and the direction. Public investment in the area also shows the private sector that this is an area that the city cares about. So we were talking earlier today, but it's essentially inverse of the broken window theory. So when the city is providing investment in the area, it shows that it's an area of priority, an area of interest. And finally, it's those catalytic projects that bring critical mass to an area and help activate the environment. Okay, in setting the stage, the city first adopted what was known as the redevelopment plan in 1996. Now, not to confuse this with the typical visioning and land use plan that you might be familiar with, this one really had a narrow focus under state statute. It allowed for blight mitigation and redevelopment authority. So that plan had its purpose. It ultimately sunset. But in 1998, the city adopted the Central Peoria Revitalization Plan that later on became the Old Town Revitalization Plan. But this early plan was built on broad community engagement effort. This established a consensus on the vision, the character, the urban form, or how the buildings should be laid out, and also design principles for downtown Peoria. So it asked questions like, what are the priorities for downtown? What do we want it to feel like? What is the scale and massing, and what kinds of land uses do we want to see? So this was the overarching policy document and guidance. This was later refined in 2008 and also 2011 with the adoption of the specific area plan for the area. Now, about that time, the late 1990s, we also developed citywide design guidelines. So these are guidelines that we use to shape the architecture and the layout of a new development site. So I've been here long enough to know that I worked with version 1.0 back in 1999 and 2000, and at that time, we actually had a scoring system. So we would score architecture, and so you can imagine it's hard to quantify, it's hard to score, good design. It's really tough to do that. And that didn't really work. So in 2011, we adopted version 2.0, and then a couple years ago, we adopted version 3.0. But back in 2011, what we did was we understood the importance and the distinction of downtown, and so there was a chapter that specifically related to the downtown area. Again, you can't treat downtown and its character the same way that you might treat Bell Road or Lake Pleasant Parkway. Very different character. So when the document came out in 2011, it was built on some policy guidance and some principles. Emphasize the public realm. That means let's make sure that any development that occurs recognizes the importance of the activation of the sidewalk and the street scene. Respect the heritage and character of downtown. We want to make sure that buildings that come about respect the massing, the scale, and the setbacks that really build to walkability. Create opportunities for social interaction. We want to infuse art, street furnishings, and landmarks, and all together with all those variables promote walkability. So we want to put it together in the way that it thrived at one time and early in its history, and make sure it celebrates and acknowledges all those inputs. The city also developed a new zoning district that was specific for downtown, and that was adopted by council back in 2005. So while it's absolutely important to have a vision and a policy guidance, you have to have the actual development codes in place to advance the type of character we're looking for. About that time too, the city also rezoned the entire downtown to that new zoning district that we developed. So that zoning district has a number of development standards with it. So at that point, we identified that we wanted maximum setbacks. We wanted buildings pushed to the street. We didn't want a parking requirement. We also, through the land use schedule, eliminated auto-oriented uses like gas stations and drive-thrus because they tend to disrupt any type of walkability that you're trying to promote in the area, and it tends to destroy the character. And finally, I do want to talk about on the bottom of the screen a code amendment that is currently in progress that relates to these downtown zoning districts. So again, these are specific to downtown, but as we started to look at the opportunities in front of us, and we look towards inspiration in other successful downtowns in the valley like Gilbert and Chandler, we wanted to make sure that our zoning code and the standards weren't confining, that we would get the types of new and dynamic signage that you see on the screen to the right. We wanted to make sure our code allowed those types of opportunities. We wanted to make sure that the land use schedule was updated to make sure that the types of uses we might want to see in the downtown would also be in this district as well, and so this district would not be, would not be an obstacle to the development of downtown. We are currently working on that draft. We will be bringing that forward. We're looking at fall of this year to bring that draft forward. And then finally, before I turn it over, I think it's important to note some of the earlier public investment opportunities that have leveraged downtown. We had, of course, the Peoria Center for the Performing Arts. That came to fruition back in 2007. We also saw some pedestrian improvements along 84th Avenue, which provides, of course, a direct link to City Hall. Johnny Osuna Memorial Park, which is actually Peoria's oldest park, dating back to the early 1900s. That was renovated about a decade ago, as was the community center. Also, with Arizona turning 100 in 2012, Centennial Plaza behind City Hall was constructed, which of course provides an alternate venue for events. And finally, there were efforts to assist the private sector. We had the facade renovation program that assisted Wagner 1 and Wagner 2 plazas along Peoria Avenue. And then, as you all know, the former fire station that was purchased and renovated, which is a great example of adaptive reuse as it paid homage to the firefighting past. So I'm going to stop there. Kevin's going to talk about some of the more recent efforts.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jaquez. Mayor, Council, good evening. My segment of the presentation is really to highlight some of the less visible groundwork that's been occurring the last 7 years to prepare us for this day. And this has really been a team effort across multiple departments in the city. As you can see from the map, there's been 19 different investment activities in the downtown area in the last 7. This is in addition to the public investment that Chris just talked about. Of those 19 different investments, there's 15 that were orchestrated by the city, another 4 by the private property owners, for a total of $7.7 million. And this doesn't even include the voluntary key shop removal, facade improvements on Washington Street, Monroe Street medians, or the library improvements that have all been contributing to this vital area. So I'm going to start us in 2017, and there really was a change in tactic by the city regarding the downtown redevelopment. And the idea was to acquire and assemble parcels and properties. The buildings in their existing states really didn't meet the current business needs, and the property themselves sat on such tiny parcels that they really weren't ripe for redevelopment in and of themselves. And so the idea was to start acquiring and aggregating the properties. What you see here is the Jefferson Block. The picture on the right is looking at the Jefferson Block from 83rd Street. The picture on the left is back in the alley there behind it. And you can see that is the COSAR building that was acquired in 2017. In 2019, we saw the acquisition of the Napa Parts Building. While a bit of a landmark, it was completely unsafe and unusable structure that was eventually demolished in 2023. Maybe a lesser-known item, but happening in 2019, was the relocation of the Park and Ride facility. You may or may not notice there was 2 parking lots just off of 84th Avenue in the downtown area that served as our Park and Ride for many years. In 2019, this was relocated to the corner of Peoria Avenue and Grand Avenue, took the place of a deteriorating pawn shop, and really serves as a central hub for both our regional bus service and our local bus service. From this spot, you can catch the Grand Avenue Express or the Grand Avenue Limited to downtown Phoenix. And you also have our local bus routes where 83rd Avenue provides the north-south bus transit and Peoria Avenue provides an east-west. So it really is centrally located to provide that. Now, the $4.1 million, I will let you know, was built almost entirely with federal funds. So that was a good project right there. Moving on to the downtown investments, back to Jefferson Street. So after a couple of years of trying to make work some of those properties, really realized that it was time to move on, and so the Cozar building was tore down. And it really kind of, as you look at those pictures on the left, you realize that if you look out and all you're seeing are dilapidated buildings and decay, it's kind of hard to envision what the future is going to look like. However, when you have a blank slate like the picture on the right, it's much easier to envision what the possibilities are, and that's really what this process was about. Staying in 2019, the arts and communities got into the program here, and arts and culture programming got into the picture. An investment to spruce up the downtown was painting of street murals and the placement of the colorful planters. There was a total of 5 different murals and 1 wall mural on the side of the building there at Washington and 84th, I believe. Moving on to 2020, the Smitty's remediation might be probably the most significant accomplishment in the downtown area in the past 7 years. While Smitty's was a long-standing icon of the downtown Peoria, it had also then become a symbol of downtown decay as it stood there unoccupied, graffitied, and not getting any better. So in one of the most challenging code remediation cases I've ever witnessed in my career, Neighborhood and Human Services really took a consistent and deliberate approach to remediating this parcel. What was a barrier to rejuvenation is now the centerpiece of redevelopment. The property has been rezoned for multifamily and will be touched upon a little bit later in the presentation. All right, staying in 2020, before affordable housing was in vogue at the state legislature, Peoria was attacking affordable housing with a great partner of Habitat for Humanity. In 2020, again, Neighborhood and Human Services provided 4 grants for homes in the downtown area. Recognized not only is downtown intended to be a vibrant social and job center, it's still a neighborhood, and it has important components that we want to make sure survive and thrive. In 2021, the Edwards Hotel remediation, no affiliation with the vice mayor. This might have been one of the more interesting cases in the downtown. Despite the high occupancy rate for those feral felines, the frontage still had great appeal for several developers who investigated the possibility of remodeling and reactivating the old hotel. Unfortunately, just too much to overcome, and it was not registered on the historical building sites, and in 2021, the owner demolished the building and set the stage for new development. Let's get my other story. In 2021...
Oh, wait, Kevin, you have to tell the story.
Okay.
Yes.
Come on, Kevin, you gotta tell the story.
That's what you get for doing a dry run with the
That's
boss.
right. I was like, you're not gonna get away without telling the story. Come on.
All right, so the story I was gonna tell is that as we were getting closer to the impending demolition of the Edwards Hotel, my teenage son at the time was very into ghost hunting, not the ghost busting, but the ghost hunting. And so made me come down, and we brought all the scientific equipment and walked around in the building looking for any sort of sign of ghost. And sad to say that the ghost had vacated the building as well. There was no signs of ghosts at all. So we moved on.
Just the cats.
Just cats, yep. In 2021, the mission of redevelopment was was moving slow. COVID was certainly not helping. And in an effort to really activate the space in an interim capacity, there were some transient beautifications made to the downtown area. These have served us well for downtown special events like Martin Luther King Weekend, Second Saturdays, Somos, and the Holiday Festival. Again, these are intended to be temporary investments that keep the property alive and interest very much real in that area. And then in 2022, one of our last acquisitions and removals was another underperforming age structure, which was the car wash at the corner of 85th and Peoria Avenue. Now, this unfortunate structure really unfortunately serves as the gateway from people approaching downtown from the west, coming into that area. It was demolished in 2022 but along with its redevelopment potentials, it really is a prime location for a new entry monument, announcing your arrival into the downtown area. With that case, though, I do want to pass along
So anecdotally, I guess I have a story too. I'm coming up on my 25th year at the city, okay? And every day, driving to work, I would drive by that car wash. I have never seen anyone use that car wash. Well, one day I said to one of the inspectors, so why don't you take the city car down to the car wash? Let's just wash it there, and So the inspector took it down to the car wash, put the quarters in the machine, got the hose, and out came a plume of dust. That's what came out of it. Suffice it to say, that was the last time we used that facility.
Exactly. So really to wrap up, maybe a little bit hard to see, but you can see those blue parcels there. Back to the 2017 strategy of acquiring and assembling and aggregating properties, we really have obtained a critical mass through these numerous investments, which set the stage for the next season in the downtown history. And for that, I'll turn it over to DCM Mike Faust.
The comedy show going on tonight, I don't know. Mayor and council, I try to be funny, but I'm going to pack that away tonight. I have the privilege of talking about the opportunities today forward and really taking the vision of this council and making it into a reality. There's a lot of transition, a lot of history that's gone on here. So let me walk into this next phase of downtown. Before we get into the proper downtown area, really 83rd to 85th, Washington to Jefferson, just really want to highlight, in order to make some of these projects successful, we need a critical mass of people. And although there are residents in the area, there are 3 very specific projects that are going to help to catalyze this by bringing a critical mass to the area. So when we look at about a half-mile radius from the proper city center, you have 1,000 new units going in. So Kevin had highlighted the old Smitty's building. That's the Overland project that's currently in a planning review, site plan review actually. Streamliner, which is 87th Avenue in Peoria, actually they have their groundbreaking on Thursday. So that project will come to fruition. And then if you look just south of downtown, the Peoria Place project is just moving, right? With residential, employment, and commercial opportunities all under construction. Over 400,000 foot of employment opportunity, and really 3 residential projects happening all simultaneously. That is going to bring a larger critical mass to help businesses thrive in downtown. So tonight, as we walk through, we're going to highlight 5 particular things. 2 of them we'll be presenting and taking votes on by you. We will touch a little bit. We spoke on Thursday in our capital improvement project review. Some of the investments that are highlighted in there, I'll touch on those as well, and also touch on just a few more projects we have going on in the area. But you can see from the map, we'll touch on the old Central Schoolhouse renovations, landmarks that are being conceptualized for a couple of corners, some discussion around partnership on the Napa site, and then the 2 project sites we're talking about this evening. So the schoolhouse, when I first got here and looking back even as a Peoria resident, we heard a lot of discussion that this was being contemplated as a restaurant or some other application. But this is truly a community asset. And I think the team, when they looked at it, saw this needs to remain a community asset. And so the strategy the team has is to activate this for programming through the arts, library and culture team, to bring forth another connection for community to stay connected with its history. In 2022, there was an evaluation done of the building. The team has worked diligently to put together a high-level scope for renovation of that building, addressing plumbing and other interior deficiencies. And they'll now transition into the process of implementing and actioning those steps to bring that building up to a usable case. This is one of the 3 or 4 projects that we highlighted inside of the capital improvement plan during our budget study session last week. This one, although important, we are positioning behind from a schedule standpoint relative to the 2 restaurants. We're going to prioritize the 2 restaurants ahead of this one. Another project, because what would a downtown revitalization be without a water tower or a windmill? I feel like everyone has to have one and we can't be left out. The picture in the upper left, I think are 2 key icons of the city, right? The water tower and the windmill. We've actually got a great team here on staff that are actually drafting some imagery for us to consider. And what we're contemplating is one of these monuments placed at 83rd and Grand. We see roughly 30,000 car movements on that road a day. We need some way of signaling that something is different in this space. And we're also contemplating another monument, probably smaller in size, at 83rd and Cotton Crossing, to try to bookend the streets and let people know we're there. So as these artistic renderings are finalized, we'll run them through the working group to get their feedback. We'll bring them back to council, let council take a look, and then we'll move forward. I do want to highlight that this is not contemplated in the current CIP, but is something we'll be looking to, once we understand what the final configuration would be, the cost, and how to move forward with execution. Another project before we get to the other 2, I guess the main course of the evening, is the Napa site. So the Napa building was demolished. I don't even want to say demolished. I think we bumped into it and it fell down in the fall of, and that's a joke, but it's not, because literally I remember that morning I had something to do and I was like, I'm going to go watch them tear this thing down. And I showed up at 8:30 and I was like, it's down. Like it was anticlimactic. And so we went about our day. But this site, it really, the team had thought through, put forth to the working group, and everyone just kind of fell in love with this 2-story kind of bookend to the city block. And so what we're really seeking here, we're currently marketing the property, but we're looking for a private partner to come alongside us here. We see a great opportunity for somebody who shares our vision and who sees Peoria's potential and wants to come alongside and do a land deal for their construction and ultimate first floor retail space, maybe second floor retail or office. Depending on how the first 2 projects play out, we may be able to move faster on this with a city investment, but right now we're marketing this as an opportunity for a public and private partnership. But let's get into the main reason why we're here tonight. So tonight we'll be presenting 2 projects for your consideration. We'll take 2 independent votes. These projects we feel are consistent with the vision that the council has set. It's consistent with the vision and feedback we've gotten from the community, and really builds upon the efforts that we heard the rest of the team present tonight. I would like to introduce some folks in the audience, and I'd ask that they stand so we can introduce. From Caldwell County Barbecue, we have Spencer and Elliot Caldwell and Travis Taylor from that team. And from the Jefferson House, we have Lance Linderman and Stephen Allen. So you can see from this map here the 2 locations that we're contemplating. Caldwell County Barbecue will be located on Washington Street, and the Jefferson House will be located on the corner of 83rd and Jefferson, and I'll get into each of these projects here. But I think it's important to note that these projects are more than an economic development play. This is really a redevelopment project that's focused on revitalizing downtown Peoria. And really transitioning these unutilized city assets and convert them into community-centered revenue-generating venues. So first up, item 12R, Caldwell County Barbecues. So the way we've structured this for your consideration is a development agreement and an associated lease agreement where the city will undertake and manage the design and the construction of the building and site improvements. Caldwell will be responsible for the branded signage and the interior fit-up. We are ready to move on this design and construction effort. In fact, we have our kickoff meeting with the design firm tomorrow morning at 9. So we get the thumbs up, we're ready to move and mobilize very quickly. This particular project will be a roughly 6,600 square foot restaurant, including event space with about a 1,200 square foot patio, and then additional spaces for the smokers. If you have not been to a Caldwell County barbecue facility yet, all wood smokers, large facility. I can tell you, You guys, I eat pretty particular, I'm pretty deal, but I told my wife, hey, we're going out to dinner. She said, where are we going? We're driving across the city, because I was not about to come to the council and present a project to you guys without first having tasted to make sure it's legit, and I can confirm it's very good. I've been made fun of because I refer to their coleslaw as having tasted like summer. So, I don't know if they would brand it that way, but I felt that way.
Nobody's going to make fun of you the rest of your life.
I get made fun of all the time, but it's okay. You keep delivering projects, it works out well for you. In terms of the deal, the lease agreement is included in the packet for your review. Ultimately with this, it's a 10-year lease, a 5+5 automatic renewal. It's a discounted lease rate to activate the area. There are not a lot of foot traffic in the area, so we're proposing a discounted lease tiered over the first 5 years. Ultimately to help them start, because we know that there's just not the traffic in the area to begin, but we're confident that it'll work out in the long run. The lessee has the right to purchase the property at fair market value after 1 year. And if the lessee retains the right of first refusal, should the city seek to sell. So if we have another offer, we choose to sell, they have a first right of refusal with the opportunity to buy. The lessee is required to maintain the property. And indemnification during the life of the lease belongs to the tenant. Switching gears, Jefferson House LLC came forth and what we think is a great project. So Jefferson House is a private business partnership between the purveyors of the Churchill, which is an existing business in downtown Phoenix, and local folks here that own and operate Driftwood Coffee. With that similar development agreement and lease agreement structure, the city will undertake and manage the design and construction of a building and site improvements. Jefferson House will be responsible for the branded signage and interior fit-ups. Design and construction, again, we're meeting tomorrow to get these things started with your blessings this evening. A little bit different, and I'll spend a couple minutes talking about this site plan because it's a little more of a mixed-use application. So in this, you have a large covered space. The whole square footage of the property would be covered with a communal interior space of about 7,000 square feet. The property is flanked with shipping containers that are essentially retrofitted into retail spaces. 1 to 2 of them being bars, 3 to 4 of them being restaurants, a handful, 5, 6, or 7 of them being retail spaces, all different ways to activate the space. We think originally when we kicked around different ideas around food halls, just as a way to bring variety to the community, we had talked about these things, but then when we saw a partnership present itself this way, the development and lease agreement really sets up for a good long-term strategy and a good business partner inside of this equation. There is some event space in the area, about 900 square foot, and as I mentioned, it's about 7,000 foot of communal space shared in the area for eating and fellowship.
Mike,
Terms are similar.
Just something you mentioned earlier today, I think is worth mentioning, is that this is modeled after the Churchill in downtown Phoenix, but this is slated to be about 30% larger than the development downtown and the Churchill development downtown. I'm sorry, the Churchill development downtown. That's correct, right?
Manager Drummond, that is correct. Ultimately, we have a bigger footprint. We're not hemmed in on the sides like they are at the Churchill facility. If anything, as Kevin mentioned, we've got a clean slate to work from. And we think we've got a really good strategy at play. The terms of the lease are similar, this one being as specific as this property is. Instead of doing the extended 10, we did a 5-year lease from the data certificate of occupancy. It has a discounted lease rate to activate the area, much in the same. Market rate rent at year 6. The lessee has the right to purchase this property at fair market value at the issuance of C of O, where the other one was about a 1-year delay for that enactment. This one kicks off as soon as the C of O. The lessee is required to maintain the property, similar to the other deal, and then they also have to provide indemnification during the life of the lease. So with that, 2 items in front of the council. 2 separate votes will need to be taken. Item 12R, an agreement with Caldwell County Barbecue for a development and lease agreement for the purpose of constructing and leasing space for a barbecue restaurant, bar, event space. And item 13R, an agreement with Jefferson House LLC for an economic development and lease agreement with Jefferson House for the purpose of constructing and leasing space for a food hall and event space at the northwest corner of 83rd Avenue in Jefferson. You know, right before we go into the vote, I just want to thank the team for all the effort that it's taken to get here. I think you had more of a lengthy presentation, but it speaks to the amount of energy, effort, and passion that's behind this project. This is phase one for us. These are the things that are in flight now. These are the things that we're bringing to fruition. We're not done. The key thing is to stay congruent with the vision that's casted by council, stay connected to the community, listen well, and then deliver projects that people are excited about, because we think that this really will shift us from what used to be to what will be. So with that, we're welcome to take any questions you may have.
Councilor Dunn.
So we're going to have two votes, right? The first one being this, and then the second one being the Jefferson project.
Yes, ma'am.
And so is this for questions on both projects or one or the other?
Let's go ahead and
Mayor, Councilmember Dunn, we'll be happy to take any and all questions.
Okay. So I was speaking to you earlier, and I just needed some clarification on a couple things. Can you explain how Driftwood Coffee is partners with the Jefferson? Is it singular? I mean, are they both partner? How does that partnership work?
Mayor, Councilmember Dunn. So at the end of the day, it's a private business, right? So you have private citizens that formed a business called Jefferson House LLC. Yes, they own other businesses, but those are separate and apart from this. So when we negotiated the DA, we negotiated the development agreement and the lease agreement with the owners of Jefferson House LLC. They just happen to also, two of them happen to be owners of another business in town.
So my question, I have another question. They have other affiliations, obviously the Driftwood Coffee that we know about,
Yeah.
and then Axiom Church. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor,
Are they
Councilmember Dunn.
with the same partners? Are they with Driftwood and Axiom? Is it the same people?
Mayor, Councilmember Dunn, to be fair, I don't know much about Axiom. It's, yes, I believe so, but I can't speak to the organizational bylaws or the LLC makeup. At the end of the day, there's probably same human beings that are partial owners of multiple businesses.
And the only reason I asked, I had a constituent ask me if that affects any, because I was aware with the previous administration that we had a contract with housing with Axiom. How does that, is there any, they're concerned with that. Can you address that?
Mayor, Councilmember Dunn, this has nothing to do with any of those other deals. I can tell you, having intimate knowledge of this deal, this is above board. And at the end of the day, when we negotiate deals, we think about the return on investment that comes to the city. We think about the taxes that are generated. We think about how to do these deals in a very, number one, legal, moral, ethical way, but what's right for the community. So I can't speak to any concerns. If you want to refer that constituent to me, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. But being intimately knowledgeable of these deals, I stand behind them all day long in terms of, number one, the right thing for the community. Number two, they generate tax revenue, which is one of the major pillars of our economic development strategy.
So last question. In one of the slides I saw, it said Old Town. And I was under the impression that we were going to start calling it downtown. Has that changed?
Historic downtown.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Dunn, that's a good question, because sometimes I've heard it referred to as downtown, historic downtown, downtown, historic old town. At some point, we're going to get it right. For right now, the slide says downtown, the pictures look cool, so I think we're going to call it downtown Peoria for the rest of the evening.
And I apologize. I said it was one last question. I think the public would want to know, are there any incentivifications? Because previously, you know, we've kind of given stuff to businesses to get, is there any incentives to get them going, or is this just straight business deal?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Dunn, because the lawyers in the room, we will gladly say we don't give anything away. Each of our deals stand on their own. In this particular arrangements, we have clearly denoted the discounted lease rates because it's necessary for the lack of traffic. We need to invest in the community, and we thought it was better to invest in the construction and discounting of lease rates for businesses than investing in additional streetscape and curb appeal. So there are nothing beyond what is defined inside of the agreements that are in front of you for review and consideration.
Thank you for being so thorough. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Great questions. Councilor Finn?
Thank you, Mayor. One quick question. I had an opportunity to taste that brisket back there, and it's amazing. I kind of fancy myself as a pretty good brisket tier.
Did you have the summer coleslaw as well?
I did not have the summer slaw. I'm kicking myself a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you. But it was amazing, which brought up a question for me as I looked at kind of the drawings and the renderings. I anticipate this being extremely successful. Parking. How are we addressing the parking that's going to hopefully go along with a packed
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember
restaurant?
Finn, we've been jokingly say one of our goals is to create a parking problem. Because right now you don't. On Sundays between 10 and 1, there's a parking challenge down there.
From what I had, I think you're going to have one.
Yeah, I will vouch for the brisket as
Yeah, I
well.
would say the same.
So a couple of key points to consider there. Number 2 is the off-site parking we have with the 2 parking lots that exist.
Okay.
Additionally, as we look at the curb appeal that's there, we do have a lot of street parking available to us. We are going to look at that even more, especially along Jefferson. The roadway is long enough. There is the opportunity to add parking along the north and south side of Jefferson. We do need to be cognizant of drop-off in front of the community center, but we have contemplated that. As we think forward, though, we have contemplated what this looks like. Do we need to consider parking garage? Do we need to consider other things to activate the space? Again, we've discussed phase 1, but as we think broader in this connection, we really need to be thinking connecting City Hall all the way to the Arts Center and how all that plays together. We've got some time to figure that out. I do agree with you. I think the success of what the staff have brought together is going to be wild. I think this is a great opportunity. You're asking the right questions that staff are also asking. I think we've got a little time to figure that out. So as we're coming in for the next projects, I think a great opportunity for us will be have some problem solving, because then at that point, we're going to be able to do some car counting and understand what those demands are going to look like.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilor Crawford?
Thank you for such a thorough presentation. I really don't have any questions. I've been pretty involved in the project and the workings behind the scenes, so I'm just going to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who worked on this. I know how much work you guys put in behind the scenes. And also, very importantly, not to forget our working group. The amount of time that some of these individuals put in to the passion of just the vision of our downtown is incredible. And at one point, I had mentioned that some of the residents involved and business owners that were involved in that group, at one point I counted over 150 years of residency in cumulative residency in our downtown, in our Old Town area. And I think that speaks a lot. And also to, just their knowledge of the area and the community and what the community wants. Some of these members would, like Mr. Buss said, we have multiple page emails and attachments and documents that they really did their homework for this and would submit renderings, penciled out renderings of their ideas and the things that they heard. People who would go to the area coffee shops and the area businesses and would literally walk up to people and just start asking them, why are you here? Why did you come here? What brought you here? So we really had some boots on the ground, and I can't thank you enough for just the time and effort, and we're not done. So this is just the beginning. I just would like to thank our proposed investors, the interest in the community. Caldwell Barbecue, if you've not eaten there. One day I was randomly scrolling on social media, and there's somebody from posting about it, and he lives in Northwest Peoria, and he makes a specific, drive to the East Valley to eat there. So, I encourage everyone to do the same until we have it right here in our community. It's really good, and thank you for your interest in the community. Local, these people are local. They're not out of state. They're right here in the valley. So, there's people who are interested in these efforts, not to come in for a quick buck and develop. They're growing their business and they're growing our community, and they're going to help activate the area. And so thank you to that. I'd also like to steal a quote from the Phoenix Business Journal that referred to some of these people that champions of reinvesting in our downtown. And, thank you to those people behind the scenes with Driftwood. They've been here a number of years. So talk about somebody who already knows, who's already here. They know what the community wants. And to being able to just move forward with some of that vision, I'm extremely excited about that as well. These potential approved development agreements are truly a testament to the city's commitment to this community and what we want to do to activate the area and really grow our Old Town redevelopment. So thank you. And again, this is just the beginning.
We have one speaker request, Ms. Eva Osuna.
You're new. It goes down.
Can we keep the slide up? Jared, can we keep the slide up there?
So do I get 3 minutes or 6 minutes?
Previous slide. 3.
For 2.
3.
Is this only for 12 hour or 13?
If you walk around the block 5 times and then come back.
Oh.
I'm just messing with you.
So 12 hour, the barbecue place, I just wanted to say that I wholeheartedly agree with this and this proposal. I surveyed several Peoria residents, and many like this proposal. So I was part of that field trip that went to that other town to try the barbecue there, so I know barbecue is going to be a big hit here. I think it'll be a great anchor, a restaurant anchor, a connector for other restaurants to want to come in and do business with us in downtown Peoria. I just feel like the team did. It was like almost overnight. It happened so quick, and I so appreciate the opportunity to serve on this committee, because it just showed me that we can have differences, but the city and the residents, we came together and we killed it. I think that we did great. Your team, Mr. Faust, listened to us. We all gave input, and you listened to us, and I think that that was the best part of it. And Councilmember Crawford, thank you for always being there. You always listened to whatever I had to say about the projects. And I had, my other people that I always went to, Mr. Faust and Danette, and I'm sorry, Councilmember Dunn, and, my counterparts on the committee, we always talked, because there's a vision there, and we see it, and you made it happen. So, and that's for 12R. Okay, now I'll go to 13R. I love the concept of this project. As soon as it was presented in committee, I was like, what? You remember my response. I was just so excited about it. During the COVID, we were having meetings with some of the staff before, and I swear this is the truth. They were asking for opinion, and I said, we should do those container things, do art on them, just to bring people down and, bring some food trucks. And then this showed up. And I was like so excited about that, because it's a subliminal connection to our railroad, which is so important. The history of Peoria, the railroad system, and it's keeping with our cultural heritage and our history. And I'm so in favor of this project. And I thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Ken. Please.
Tell him, Mr. Burke.
Absolutely.
Mr. Burke, you're looking in the wrong places for ghosts in Peoria. They're on Madison, okay? And if you want the address, I have it. And the ghost shows up, and he rings the doorbell, and there's no doorbell. So this is the truth.
All right. Thank you for that tip. All right.
We're going there after this.
All right. So I'm going to do last comment before a vote here. So, you know, 2.5 years ago, when I decided to run for mayor, I had a council member, Councilor Dunn, that kept talking about the revitalization of downtown Peoria. During 2021, I think is when it started, we ended up having the park that had been built, and we invested a couple $100,000 into a corner park that was down in that area. And that's when I met Mrs. Osuna during the same period of time. And one of the things that we talked about, and we talked to many citizens in that area, and to the council members, you know, would constantly bring people to my company to try to talk to me about, we need to revitalize downtown Peoria. So we walked it. And we walked it, and we talked to people that were down there, and you know, Ms. Osuna and I actually walked Varney and talked to people, and the number one thing that people talked about was, you know, why are we not taking care of our downtown? Why are we not revitalizing this? We've always talked about it. When the election was going on, and I would talk to citizens all over, and I would be in Vistancia or Trilogy or Westbrook Village or you know. Westbrook was one of them, you know, West Wing was another one. You would talk to people and they're like, I'm like, where's downtown Peoria? And people literally, because they had moved here, had no idea where downtown Peoria was. And it was a common thing. And it kind of drove me crazy, to be honest with you. It was one of those things where it's like I would ask somebody and I would immediately tell them, and I would tell them, and a lot of people have heard me say this, I'm like, someday you guys are gonna be proud of the efforts that we actually put down here, because there's a lot of people that actually want to see this happen. When I literally the first council meeting, Councilor Patena said, it's like, well, we've been talking about that since 1991. Right? So everybody has wanted this to happen for such a long period of time. And to be able to see this, obviously we have not voted yet, but there's a lot of excitement around this. To see this come to fruition, and to be able to be a part of it and be a part of our community. And we had a lot of barbecue. There were a couple council members up here that we went and toured different barbecue restaurants and toured different restaurants. We did not have the summer coleslaw. But we wanted to see what other cities around the valley, what was exciting them. We went to Queen Creek, we went to Gilbert, we went to Phoenix. We toured these areas of these cities to see what was engaging the public to get them to a location. And I remember when we went to Caldwell's next to the Home Depot, right? There's a Home Depot right across the street. Is that where? Yeah. And we went there and we walked through, and there's people sitting everywhere. There's people from all over. They weren't just from that area. They were from 15, 20 miles away. I remember Councilor Edwards and Councilor Patena and I were asking people as they were walking down that area, going, "So where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from?" And none of them were from the city that the restaurant was actually in. And to me, that was a very awesome sign, because there's no reason that Peoria, one, doesn't deserve that, but two, one reason we couldn't accomplish it. And so I'm very proud of the work and efforts that you guys are putting together. I would echo the same remarks that Councilor Crawford said about thank you for your trust in us. Thank you for your trust in the city and the investment and the people that are here. Our citizens, our neighbors, more importantly, our neighbors, the people that we live with and live beside, deserve this, and it's important. So, and again, Councilor Finn, we keep on going, but if it's any showing, every single staff member that went back there, I think there's nothing left. So I think it is going to be very, very successful to see what you guys are going to do. So thank you. So with that, we're going to have two separate votes. One is going to be on, the first one is going to be on 12R. Do I have a motion on 12R?
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve item 12R.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote. And it passes 7-0. And do I have a motion on 13R? Do I? Okay, please vote. Somebody's excited. And it passes 7-0. Thank you. So we get to do this, right? What do you do? Just twist? Her husband went to New Mexico for these things. Those are a little powerful, Jen. Just a little powerful. Those were a little louder. He had his, he's like unholstering up there. You didn't tell the police officer that you were doing that? That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. That was pretty incredible. So with that, next on the agenda is a call to the public. As a reminder, each speaker will direct his or her comments to the members of governing body and not any individual member or individuals present. Each speaker will refrain from personal attacks, foul or abusive language, and will maintain civil and courteous manner and tone. Members of the audience will respect the rights of others and will not create noise or other disturbances that will disrupt or disturb the meeting. And first is Valerie Williams. Those are really loud.
Okay. Hi, Mayor Beck. Hi,
Hello.
council members. My name is Valerie Williamson, and I have lived at 75th Avenue and Greenway in Peoria for over 25 years. I'm concerned about the traffic on 75th Avenue. The traffic has tripled over the past 5 years because of new housing and apartment construction. There are 2 apartment complexes on Paradise Lane and another one at 75th Avenue and Paradise Lane. There's actually another one planned for the other side on the southwest corner of 75th Avenue and Paradise Lane. So we have thousands of new residents using 75th Avenue and thousands of more residents on the way. As a result, as it has become unsafe for pedestrians due to high traffic and speeding. It's a known fact that speed kills, and now 75th Avenue is unsafe for pedestrians on sidewalks due to cars traveling at freeway speeds of 60 to 65 miles an hour, along with red light running and increased noise. The laws are not being enforced at the expense of the safety of the citizens. So I'm wondering, what is the plan for updating the infrastructure for the residents who already live in the area? Are there plans to widen 75th Avenue to accommodate all of these new residents? Recently, the Skunk Creek Wash was completed by connecting a sidewalk from the Skunk Creek Wash on Paradise Lane to 75th Avenue. This was done, however, without adding a much-needed right turn lane from Paradise Lane onto 75th Avenue to ease the traffic throughout the area. Remember now, there are thousands of people living across that street in a fairly new apartment complex area, and thousands more to come. So correcting that is going to cost the city and the taxpayers quite a bit of money that could have probably been prevented. So how about not approving more building permits until the infrastructure has been updated? How about laying down some rubberized asphalt to dampen the sound on 75th Avenue from Thunderbird to Bell? The city of Glendale did that north of Bell Road, and I believe it's in process on 75th Avenue south of Thunderbird? And my last thing is, how about more police officers enforcing the speed limit on 75th Avenue? So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Dr. Rebecca Osuna. You start coughing right as you get called. Can you lower that for her, please?
Yeah, you know,
Thank you.
this is all new to me. That's fine. Good evening, Mayor, back in council. For the record, my name is Rebecca Osuna. I reside at 8439 West Purdue Avenue, Peoria, Arizona. I'm requesting a written response to the question below, that this statement be placed in the record of today's city council meeting. I speak tonight in the spirit of making sure our community and city personnel are always protected, and their safety is the council's highest priority. On December 11, 2023, a bomb threat was called into Peoria City Hall. Several nearby residents communicated to me that they were not informed of this emergency event, which could have potentially had a very devastating, deadly impact. In the light of the recent news article yesterday in The Independent, it is now known to be a Peoria employee who is experiencing a mental health episode. How was this managed differently as opposed to a person without manic behavior? At the end of the day, it is still a threat to our community. It supports what has been communicated to the community. As a resident who resides near Peoria City Government Complex, I have several questions that need to be answered to assume myself and other nearby residents that you, city, and emergency management teams are fully prepared to provide safety for all city employees and nearby neighborhoods pertaining to any other kind of emergency. Number one, why weren't the entire city of Peoria buildings evacuated? That would include the public safety building, the court building, the library, and the community development building. Information is that only City Hall was evacuated. Where was the safety of those employees and perhaps public residents in the library and court buildings? Number two, why was there not a reverse 911 alert sent to the nearby neighborhoods surrounding the city of Peoria facilities? Number three, why was the public not notified of the bomb threat for possible public safety? Number four, what was the time frame of the Peoria Police Department's bomb squad's response? Based on the city emergency plan, how quickly were all the city employees evacuated, and how far away were they directed? How long did it take for the emergency bomb threat to be cleared by the fire and police department? And why is this information just coming to light 4 months after the bomb threat? I am respectively requesting that these questions be answered by the city management and the city emergency management team to assure the public and all city employees that their safety is a top priority, including transparency in all situations. The city council should be asking the same answers for these questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment, ma'am. Sorry, I've got glitter everywhere. Report from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just have a few things to report this evening. Sorry, might be out of order here. The first thing is that Chief Bernard has sent us this picture of our recent graduates of the technical rescue training. Pictured here is Captain John Keegan and firefighter Jordan Nath. They completed 200 hours of technical rescue training, or TRT for short, which includes rescue training for swift water, confined space, steep and high angle rope, structural collapse, and trench rescue. Congratulations, guys. On the same theme of public safety, I'm pleased to announce that we have 3 new graduates of the West Valley Law Enforcement Training Academy. Congratulations and welcome Officers Samuel Choi, Michael Cosenza, and Nathan Sanchez. Welcome to the team. You will serve the citizens of Peoria well. As we wrap up one of our premier events in Peoria, I'd like to thank the baseball fans for supporting the Seattle Mariners and the San Diego the Padres.
The glitter threw you off.
Yeah, that did. I've got partying on the mind here, almost literally. At our Peoria Sports Complex during the spring training of 2024, the Mariners closed the preseason with a record of 13-13, and the Padres matched the record as equaling 9-9 record before leaving spring training, where they left a little early because they went to Korea with the Dodgers. I don't know if they're playing the Dodgers in Korea, but I'm sure they're playing Korean teams there as well. So we had about 170,000 fans attend spring training this year. Our average game attendance was about 6,200, and the most attended game was, of course, the Chicago Cubs game, where they played the Seattle Mariners, and there was about 11,000 attendance that day. We are also honored that our Peoria Sports Complex has been named as a top 10 spring training facility in 2024 by the USA Today and their 10 Best Reader's Choice Travel and Contest Awards. A brief update on some water issues. We had our study session earlier today talking about water conservation, but we've also been doing other things to secure our water future. Our ability to deliver reclaimed water throughout the city in lieu of potable water for turf irrigation is important to protecting the future of our water resources. So as a quick update on those projects, one of those projects, construction has been moving along at our Beardsley wastewater treatment facility, and the project is scheduled to begin delivering reclaimed water in September of this year. And once again, this is to augment or replace potable water or drinking water for turf irrigation. And with that, we have a special events video. Mayor and Council, that's my report for the evening.
Thank you. A report from Youth Liaisons. Anna?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And so recently, the Youth Advisory Board has had representation at the 48th Annual Dolly Sanchez Easter Egg Hunt on March 30th. And as I've heard, this was a great opportunity to communicate and connect with our community and everyone that was involved. And I heard amazing things about it. And it was just a great opportunity for us to communicate and engage with everyone around us. And thank you. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Ellie?
Thank you, Mayor. At our last meeting, we also discussed participating in the 3rd Annual Heart Pantry Shoe Drive. Last 2 years, we've donated about 1,700 pairs of shoes, and so we're very enthusiastic to grow from the previous donation numbers.
Awesome. Thank you. So as a reminder, our State of the City kicks off tomorrow evening at 6:30. I hope to see as many employees and residents in attendance as we celebrate the achievements of this previous year. Easter weekend recap. This weekend, Peoria hosted our annual Dolly Sanchez Easter event celebration. Over the 4-hour event, over 8,000 attendees celebrated Easter at the Peoria Sports Complex. Thank you for the staff and all your hard work and all of the families that were able to enjoy this event. To reiterate downtown development and what we were able to do tonight, it's a very important day for Peoria. It's one of the things that we've literally talked about since day one. It's a common conversation, but for the last 3 years, it's been something that I think a lot of people have had a lot of interest on, of if we could actually get this accomplished, and we have. Sorry to the police officer that for the loud. Jen Crawford smuggled them in. I can't help that. Councilmember Crawford. So, and but it's a very, very important day, and it really shows what efforts can be put forward, driving vision forward, making these things happen, and it just shows our city staff being able to carry out the vision. Very appreciated for me, very appreciated for honestly everybody in the city. So without all of you putting your efforts and hard work into it, none of this would be possible. The last echoing of Councilmember Crawford's comment, this is just the beginning. There is a lot more to come. So we're very excited for the future of Peoria. Thank you. And with that, we're adjourned.